Jesus Christ and Gautama Buddha followed a specific path that was laid out to them by previous sages. They were taught, and both of them, respectively, became gods through the cultivation of the spirit. Yes, they became gods with a lowercase g. The ancient Kemetic proverb by the intelligencer, Thoth the Atlantean, also known as Tahuti, states, "Gods are immortal men, and men are mortal gods." The Bhadrakalpika Sutra is an interesting ancient text. According to our modern world's perception, it contains an unbelievable truth. It lists that there were 1,004 Buddhas, claiming that not one, not 10, but over 1,000 Buddhas have existed. According to this account, and many others that we'll get into during this video, the fact that Buddha and Christ were actually titles given or achieved by ascended masters who started as regular humans like you and I. No, not a god, regular man, becoming a god through striving and toil. Take a deep breath. It may be hard to comprehend at first, and I'll detail as much nuance as possible without sugarcoating anything for you. I'm going to teach you about 13 different documented Buddhas and a bit about them. I'm also going to tell you how a specific banned and removed book of the Bible, the Gospel of Thomas, tells us that we can do exactly what Jesus did and become a Christ like he did. The reality is that you've been fed a lie, a comfortable, easy-to-digest lie that there was only one Christ, only one Buddha. But the truth is far more complex, far more empowering, and they don't want you to know it. Why? Because knowledge applied correctly becomes wisdom, and wisdom is power. And they don't want you to have that power. They don't want you to know that you, yes, you, have the potential to become a Christ, to become a Buddha. But obviously, in today's modern set of paradigms and conditions, it's more challenging. Think about it. If Christ and Buddha are titles, not unique individuals, what does that mean for you, for your potential, for your spiritual journey? The teachings and path they studied were ancient wisdom that even in those unique separate eras of Yeshua and Gautama, Buddha respectively existed in, was hard to obtain. Books were guarded and not given out so readily, teachings were withheld out of fear of getting into the wrong hands. But today it's all hidden in plain sight, waiting for those who hear with their heart to uncover. If you're ready to know, to see, to hear, then give us a like and subscribe. We'll help you see through the veil while you help us grow as well. Now let me tell you the truth about Christ. Let me tell you about Jesus, also known as Yeshua or Yahoshua. The story of Jesus you know is actually only the tip of the iceberg. The sanitized, simplified, mistranslated, misinterpreted, and perverted version they want you to believe. But the truth, it's far more fascinating, far more empowering. Did you know that from age 12 to 30, Jesus' life is a complete mystery in the Bible? That's 18 years unaccounted for, the so-called lost years. But were they really lost, or were they deliberately hidden? Think about it. Why would they hide these years? What happened during this time that they don't want you to know about? Here's what they don't tell you in Sunday school. Yeshua traveled extensively. He didn't just sit in Nazareth waiting for a specific year to begin. He sought out wisdom, he learned, and he grew. Let's break it down. At age 12, we see Jesus in the temple, astounding the teachers with his understanding. Then, silence. Nothing until he reappears at age 30 to begin teaching his wisdom. What happened in between? There are accounts of Jesus traveling to Egypt, India, and even Tibet during these years. Why is this important? Because it shows that Jesus was a seeker of wisdom, not just a passive receiver of divine knowledge. Let's start with Egypt. Some traditions say, including the Apocrypha text, the Gospel of the Holy 12, that Yeshua traveled to Egypt to escape Herod's persecution. But he didn't just hide there. He learned. He grew. In Egypt, Jesus is believed to have been exposed to the Egyptian mystery schools, ancient wisdom that had been preserved for tens of millennia. He learned healing techniques and spiritual practices that went far beyond what was taught in the temples of Jerusalem. Think about it. The ancient Egyptians had been developing their spiritual practices for tens of thousands of years, passed down from the Nubians and Atlanteans. Their understanding of life, death, and the nature of reality was beyond profound and unfathomable to modern man, and Yeshua had access to this knowledge. But he didn't stop there. On his long journeys, he eventually found himself in India. By the way, all of these things are accounted for. The Indians, Tibetans, and many other cultures have accounts of his travels, among many other sages as well. In their traditions, they viewed Yeshua as another sage, just like their long lists of Buddhas and ascended mystics. There are legends of Jesus studying with Hindu and Buddhist sages in India. He's said to have learned about reincarnation, karma, and different versions of meditation. These aren't just random ideas, they're fundamental concepts that shape one's entire outer and inner worldview, consciousness, perception, innate ability, frequency, and much more. Now listen, if Jesus learned these concepts, it would explain so much about his later teachings. When he talks about being born again, could he be referring to reincarnation or his awakening into enlightenment, just like many other sages have as well? When he teaches about reaping what you sow, isn't that essentially karma? Given there are many mistranslations and books left out of the Old and New Testaments of the Bible that could help to explain why even today more people in the West don't know this. Many accounts also mention Yeshua in Tibet, learning from Tibetan lamas. Imagine that. Jesus sitting in a Tibetan monastery, learning about compassion and mindfulness from Buddhist masters. In Tibet, Jesus is believed to have studied under Tibetan lamas, gaining insights into compassion and mindfulness. These aren't just nice ideas. They're powerful spiritual practices that can transform consciousness. Does this diminish Jesus' achievements and wisdom? Absolutely not. If anything, it makes him even more remarkable. It shows a man dedicated to seeking out the highest truths, wherever they may be found. Breathe. Think. Why don't they want you to know this? Because it challenges the narrative of Jesus as a purely Jewish prophet. It opens up the possibility that the teachings of Christ were influenced by a wide range of mystic traditions hailing back to dynastic and pre-dynastic Kemet, also known as Egypt. This is where he came from when he suddenly reappeared back into the Bible, the missing, unaccounted for 18 years. It's a literal time skip in book format. The true teachings are that it shows that the path to becoming a Christ, a fully realized spiritual being, involves seeking, learning, and growing. It's not about blind faith, but about the active pursuit of wisdom and truth. This isn't just about Jesus. This is about you, about your potential to follow in his footsteps, which was a path that he was taught and strove for arduously. Truly understanding the full context of his story and all the Buddhas and their stories, which, by the way, I'll tell you about soon, will help you find true wisdom, learn through experience, grow, and evolve spiritually as a mystic. The Gospel of Thomas, a text they don't want you to read, quotes Jesus as saying, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." Think about that quote for a minute. Jesus is telling you that the power is within you, that you have the potential for Christ consciousness within you, and it's not just the Gospel of Thomas. The Epistle to the Hebrews describes Jesus as a high priest, emphasizing his role in spiritual leadership and learning. Christ was not a random title. It's a recognition of Jesus' deep spiritual knowledge and his role as a teacher of wisdom. If you've just learned something new about Christ, then give us a like and subscribe. It's not about dogma here, we're just here to teach you the truth about these sages and saints. "1,004 Buddhas, just like the sages of Christhood." There were many Buddhas, and we also have historical and factual accounts of them. In Buddhism, Gautama Buddha, the one you probably think of when you hear Buddha, is just one in a long line of Buddhas. He's not the first, and he won't be the last. The Theravada tradition lists 28 Buddhas, 28 beings who achieved full enlightenment, broke free from the cycle of suffering and rebirth. And that's just one tradition. I'm going to give you their names. Here they are. The 7 Buddhas of antiquity: Vipas, Sikh, Vesabu, Kakusanda, Konagamana, Kassapa, and Gautama. Each of these beings achieved what you've been told is impossible. Each of them became fully enlightened, becoming an immortal man. Please research these names if you doubt me. And while you're at it, research all these other Buddhas you've definitely never heard of. I'm going to refer to these Buddhas in the present tense as if they're still alive and explain why after. Listen, there is the Dipankara Buddha, one of the earliest Buddhas mentioned in Buddhist texts. He's known for predicting Gautama Buddha's future enlightenment. Think about that. A Buddha predicting the coming of another Buddha. This is not mythology, don't believe that lie, or propaganda. It's actually a clear statement that the state of Buddhahood is achievable by multiple beings, achievable by beings that started out as normal humans like you and I. Next is Akshobhya Buddha. Known as the Imperturbable, Akshobhya is a Mahayana Buddha who resides in the pure land of Abhirati. His very name suggests a state of unshakable peace and clarity. Isn't that what we're all striving for? It's definitely what we are striving for at the library. There is also Amitabha Buddha. Also known as Amida Buddha, Amitabha is the principal Buddha of Pure Land Buddhism. He's associated with infinite light and infinite life. These aren't just poetic descriptions. They're pointing to states of consciousness that we all have the potential to achieve. And how about the Buddha Bhaisajaguru, the medicine Buddha? Known as the healing Buddha, Bhaisajaguru is revered for his role in healing and medicine. This isn't just about physical healing. It's about healing the root causes of suffering, the illnesses of the mind and spirit. The reason I'm mentioning these Buddhas in present tense, mentioning their teachings and wisdom like they are still alive today, is because they are. They are alive, existing as spiritual beings, able to incarnate in human form at will now. They were spirits that started out in human form and ascended. That's what these mystic traditions suggest. And what I'm telling you is a potentiality for you as well. Here's something you probably won't believe. Buddhist scriptures actually prophesy the coming of Maitreya, the future Buddha, a being who hasn't even been born yet, but who will achieve full enlightenment and teach the pure Dharma. Why is this important? Because it shatters the illusion of spiritual exceptionalism. It shows that becoming a Buddha isn't about being chosen or special. It's about walking a path, about doing the work. Think about it. If there have been multiple Buddhas throughout history, if there will be more in the future, what does that mean for you, for your potential? It means that Buddha nature isn't some foreign, unreachable state. It's your birthright. It's the potential that lies within you, waiting to be awakened. But they don't want you to know this. They want you to believe that spiritual enlightenment is for the chosen few, the special ones. The truth is, you can choose to become chosen and then work towards that. Gautama Buddha himself said, all beings have the Buddha nature. Not some beings, not special beings. All beings, including you. Take a moment. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of that statement. You have the Buddha nature within you. You have the potential to achieve what Gautama achieved, what all the Buddhas achieved. This isn't about worshiping the Buddha. It's about becoming a Buddha. It's about walking the path of enlightenment yourself. Christ and Buddha. These aren't just historical figures to be worshipped from afar. They are not to be worshipped. They're actually examples of what's possible for you, for all of us. Take a deep breath. Feel the energy of this truth coursing through you. You're not separate from Christ or Buddha. You're of the same essence with the same potential. The Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, these aren't foreign concepts. They're the very core of who you are, waiting to be awakened, to be realized. But here's the hard truth. This realization doesn't come easy. It's not only about saying a prayer or only about reciting a mantra, although those things are deeply related to different paths of enlightenment. Jesus spent years seeking wisdom by studying in Egyptian mystery schools, challenging himself and growing spiritually. He didn't just appear fully formed as a spiritual teacher. He learned, he grew, he evolved. Think about Jesus' early life in Nazareth. It was known for its humble and frugal lifestyle. This wasn't just a coincidence. It was part of his spiritual training, living simply, free from the distractions of wealth and luxury, and that allowed him to focus on what really mattered, spiritual growth and understanding. Gautama Buddha left his luxurious royal lifestyle to walk and strive with literally nothing, only clothes on his back. Back to Yeshua, what about his time in the temple at age 12? The Bible tells us he was discussing deep spiritual matters with the temple teachers. This wasn't just a cute story about a unique child. It was a clear indication of Jesus' early eagerness to learn and understand mystical wisdom. Gautama Buddha, too, walked a long and challenging path. He didn't just sit under the Bodhi tree one day and become enlightened. He spent years seeking, inner standing, developing, questioning, and practicing. Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha, lived a life of renunciation, search, awakening, teaching, and death. This wasn't just a story, it was a roadmap for spiritual evolution. He showed us that enlightenment isn't handed to you. You have to work for it. Are you willing to do the same, to challenge everything you think you know, to face your deepest fears and desires, to seek wisdom wherever it may be found? This isn't about joining a religion or following a guru. It's about reclaiming your spiritual birthright. It's about awakening to your true nature. The Gnostic Gospel of Thomas quotes Jesus as saying, "The kingdom of God is inside of you and all around you, not in mansions of wood and stone. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me there." Breathe and think about what that quote means. Let me say it again. The kingdom of God is inside of you and all around you, not in mansions of wood and stone. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me there. The divine isn't some external force. It's within you, all around you. You are it. This is the truth they don't want you to know, because an awakened population can't be controlled. A society of Christs and Buddhas can't be manipulated or exploited. So, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going back to sleep, to the comfortable lie of spiritual exceptionalism? Or will you wake up to reclaim your birthright as a divine being? Remember, Christ and Buddha aren't just historical figures. They're examples of what's possible for you. They're mirrors reflecting your own divine potential. It's time to stop worshiping and start becoming.